This is you. The elevator is stuck between floors, and the President of the United States is bleeding on your shoulder. You've got one magazine left. The lights are dead. Somewhere above you, in the Meridian Grand Hotel's 14th floor corridor, you can hear them stacking up outside the shaft access panel. Methodical, disciplined, not panicking. These aren't opportunists. These aren't zealots with a grudge and a borrowed rifle. These men were trained the same way you were trained. That's what scares you. You press 2 fingers against the president's neck. Pulse fast, thready, but there. The wound in his side is packed with your last trauma dressing. He looks at you with eyes that are still sharp, still presidential, still carrying the terrible weight of a man who knows exactly what happens to the free world if his heart stops in a stuck elevator in downtown Chicago. Mercer, he says. Your name, quiet as a confession. Are we going to make it? You rack the slide on your P229, chambered 11 rounds. 6 men minimum on the other side of that panel. You don't answer him. But the story really began 19 hours earlier. You've been on the president's detail for 8 months. Before that, 4 years on vice presidential protection, 3 years on dignitary details, and before that, 6 years as an Army Ranger that left you with a titanium plate in your left forearm and a recurring dream about a village in Helmand Province that you will never speak of to anyone living. Your name is Special Agent Dana Mercer, 37 years old, 5'10" of compressed violence dressed in a charcoal suit and an earpiece. You are not the kind of person who appears on magazine covers or gives speeches. You are the kind of person who stands between the speech and the bullet. The Chicago trip is a public engagement, a fundraising dinner at the Meridian Grand, 4 hours, fully coordinated with local law enforcement. You've swept the building twice. Your team is 9 agents strong. The advance was clean. The perimeter is locked. You've run harder details in worse cities. You've also never been wrong before. And that's a thing about being wrong once you only get the lesson after the damage is done. Lead agent is Special Agent Coordinator Ron Hallis, 22 years in the service, silver-haired, unflappable, the kind of man who once physically caught a falling camera rig before it hit the First Lady without changing his facial expression. Hallis runs the detail like a Swiss watch. You trust him with the life. The dinner is routine. The president works the room handshakes, photographs, the practiced warmth of a man who has spent a decade being publicly human. You stay on his left shoulder, 3 feet back, eyes scanning the room in the pattern you've run 10,000 times. Every face, every hand, every line of sight to every door. Nothing wrong, nothing out of place, until your earpiece says, Eagle is moving to the holding suite. Mercer, you're with him. The holding suite is on the 14th floor. Standard procedure, private elevator, 2 agents in the corridor, you inside with the president, while Hallis coordinates the motorcade departure from the garage. The elevator doors close. That's when your radio dies. Not static, not interference, dead. A flat, total silence that a 2-decade career tells you is not accidental. You have exactly 1 second to process this before the elevator lurches, not a malfunction, a controlled halt. The kind that comes from someone cutting power to a specific circuit and the lights drop to emergency red. The president looks at you. No panic. He's been briefed on worst case scenarios more times than he can count. He knows the face you're making right now. Talk to me, Mercer. Stay behind me, sir. Don't move unless I move you. You draw your P229 and your left hand goes to the wall panel override keypad, dead. You try the manual release. The door seam holds. Someone has jammed the mechanism from outside. They've boxed you in. Your mind runs the geometry fast and cold. 9 agents on the detail, at least 2 in the corridor outside Vasquez and Kim. If the radio's down across the board, someone has deployed a targeted jamming system, which means they had access to the hotel's infrastructure before tonight, which means the advance was compromised. The first explosion hits the 14th floor above you. The elevator shaft vibrates. Dust falls from the ceiling. The president grabs the wall rail and says nothing. Then you hear the shooting start. Suppressed weapons short, professional bursts, not a firefight, an execution. Your agents in that corridor are dying right now, and there is nothing you can do about it. And that knowledge is a white-hot coal in the center of your chest that you lock away. Because grief is a luxury with a deferred payment plan, you will pay it later, if there is a later. Sir, Your voice is Flatiron, to sit down, low against the rear wall. And I need you to stay there regardless of what happens next. Can you do that? Yes. He slides down the wall. Former naval officer. He knows how to follow an order when it counts. You face the elevator doors and the shaft access panel in the ceiling, and you breathe. They're coming in from the top. Good. You chose this ground. You'll defend it. The panel in the ceiling moves first. You're already aiming when the fingers appear at the edge, gloved, black, moving with the sureness of a man who expects no resistance. You fire once. The hand disappears. Someone above screams short, bitten off, and then there's a thud against the roof of the car. One down, shouting above you now. They're reorganizing. A second later, the doors begin to move a hydraulic spreader, forcing them open from outside, which tells you they have professional breaching equipment, which tells you everything you need to know about who sent them. The doors open 6 inches. You put 2 rounds through the gap at waist height. A grunt. The spreading stops. Mercer! The president's voice. Tight but controlled. I'm good, sir. Stay down. You are not good. You have 9 rounds left and at least 5 more men outside and 0 comms and a man whose death would restructure the geopolitical order of the planet bleeding through a field dressing behind you. But you've been in rooms with worse math. The shaft panel drops open fully and a flashbang comes through it. You close your eyes and open your mouth and turn your face into the corner. The detonation is still enormous, a full-body percussion that rings your skull like a bell and turns your vision to white static even through closed eyelids. Your ears fold. The world becomes cotton and pressure. They're coming through the ceiling. You fire upward through the static not aimed, suppressive, buying seconds. A body drops through the opening and hits the elevator floor, and you don't wait to check if it's alive. You drive your heel into the base of its skull, and it stops moving. The doors are being forced again. Wider, this time 8 inches, 10 and a hand. Snakes through with a weapon and you grab the wrist and pull, slamming the arm against the door edge until something cracks and the weapon drops and the screaming starts again. And you strip the weapon, a Glock 19, full magazine, and now you have firepower. You are bleeding from your left ear. You don't remember when that happened. Get up, sir. Your voice is different now. Something's stripped back. We're moving. Where? Up. The shaft opening is 18 inches wide. You go first, pulling yourself through on upper body strength alone, the Glock tucked, scanning the roof of the elevator car and the shaft above. Empty, the men who came down are dead or wounded, and whoever's left has pulled back to the corridor. You reach back through, and the president grabs your arm and you haul him up with everything you have left in your body. He's heavier than he looks. They always are. You find the shaft ladder maintenance access running up the inside wall. You look up, 3 floors to the roof access. You look down. The 14th floor door is being forced open below. Climb, you tell him. Don't stop. Don't look down. Move. He climbs. You climb behind him, body between him and what's coming, one hand on the ladder and one on the Glock, pressed against the cold steel of the shaft wall. 40 feet below, the elevator doors open and flashlights sweep upward. They see you. The shooting starts. Rounds spark off the ladder, aluminum shrieking, a ricochet burning a line across your right thigh that makes your legs spasm on the rung. You almost fall. You find the rung with your boot by reflex, and you keep climbing, and you return fire downward, one-handed without looking. 3 rounds, suppressive, and the lights below scatter. Don't stop, you shout at the president, who has not stopped, who is climbing with the quiet determination of a man who has decided he refuses to die in a hotel elevator shaft in Chicago. You love him for that. Just for that moment, you love him the way you love a fellow soldier. The roof access hatch is padlocked from the outside. Of course it is. You don't hesitate. You press the Glock against the padlock housing, angle away from ricochet, and fire twice. The lock shatters. You shoulder the hatch open, and cold Chicago air hits your face like a second chance. You pull the president through into the night. The rooftop is wide and dark. The city burns orange beneath you. Traffic, streetlights, the indifferent machinery of a world that doesn't know what's happening 17 floors above it. Wind cuts across the roof in gusts that smell of rain and exhaust. And across the rooftop, 40 meters away, standing between you and the emergency stairwell access, 3 men, tactical gear, night vision up, weapons raised. You have 4 rounds, unarmed, wounded, and standing directly behind you. You don't do the math. Math is for people who have options. You move, Left, driving hard, cutting the angle. You fire twice on the move, not to kill, to displace, to make them flinch and shift their muzzles and give you a half second. It works on 2 of them. The third is better, and his round takes you in the plate carrier over your left ribs, and the impact is like being hit with a bat swung by something enormous. You stagger, you do not fall. You close the distance at a dead sprint, closing from 40 meters to 10 in 4 seconds, and at 10 meters you are inside their effective reaction time for aimed fire, and you shoot the third man once in the thigh and drive your elbow into his face as you close and he goes down. You throw the empty Glock at the nearer one, stupid, desperate, perfect, and the instinct to dodge it costs him a step and you're already on him, hands driving the weapon up and away, knee into his solar plexus, your titanium forearm across his throat with your full body weight and the ringing silence of a man who can no longer breathe. He folds. The last one has his weapon up and aimed at you from 6 feet. A shot, not yours. He goes down. You spin. The president is standing 10 feet behind you, holding the weapon you stripped off the man in the elevator shaft, the one you tucked in your waistband and forgot because you had other things to think about. His hands are steady. His face is the face of a man who made a decision and will live with it. Naval service, qualified pistol, 1991. You stare at him. The stairwell, you say. Now, the rest is noise and momentum. 4 floors down, you hit 2 more, a rear guard pair covering the stairwell exit, and you take them with aggression and the last of the Glock's magazine, 1 shot each, moving through the gun smoke and the echo, ground level. You crash through the service exit into the alley behind the hotel and the cold air and the sound of sirens, real sirens, many of them. The cavalry finally arriving because someone somewhere noticed that 9 Secret Service radio signals went dark simultaneously. And that is not a thing that goes unnoticed forever. 3 black SUVs are screaming down the alley toward you. You read the plates before they stop. Yours. The door opens. And Agent Vasquez, alive, wounded in the shoulder, furious in the way that only people who just survived something unsurvivable can be furious, leans out and says, "Get in, both of you." Now, you push the president into the SUV and climb in behind him, and the door closes and the convoy moves, and you sit back against the seat and feel everything you didn't let yourself feel for the last 40 minutes arrive all at once, like a debt collector who has been waiting patiently. Your ribs are cracked. Your leg is lacerated. Your ear is still bleeding. Vasquez is staring at you. "Hallis?" you ask. His face answers before his mouth does. You look at the floor of the SUV for a long moment. The president puts his hand on your arm, says nothing. There's nothing to say. Outside, Chicago moves past the tinted windows, oblivious, ordinary, completely unaware that the shape of the next decade was decided by 11 rounds and a titanium plate, and a man who refused to let the math win. You close your eyes. Hallis. You'll pay that debt later. You always do.